not a qualification. The DA repeats that it is a non-racial so often that one begins to suspect that the party is still trying to convince itself. Its non-racialism is strangely flexible. When black people speaks about racial injustice, the Democratic Alliance speaks about stop seeing color. But when one of its MECs praises pale complexion, color suddenly becomes worthy of recognition. When African demands transformation, the DA calls it racial politics. But when white leadership is presented as natural home of competence, we are expected to sit quietly and applaud. What a convenient principle. The DA's non-racialism is like a courtroom in which black people are always permitted to enter, but mainly as accused. Honorable Chair, the deeper issue is not only that Umampeki Nkonyen was omitted. The issue is the old belief hiding beneath that omission that African leadership is temporary, while white supervision is permanent. Colonialism told African, you may work, but you may not own. Apartheid told African, you may serve, but you may not govern. Modern paternalism tells African, you may govern, but somebody pale may remain nearby to confirm that you are competent. We reject that thinking. We are not political miners, Mr. Rogers, Honorable. We are not apprentices in our own country. We are not visitors in institutions built through the labor and taxes of our people. White South Africans belong in our...
Honorable Mbatha, address the Norway's Tula. Just address the Honorable MC through me. Tula and finish.
We are not visitors in institutions built through the labor and taxes of African people. White South Africans belong in our common future as equal citizens. But equality does not mean permanent white guardianship over African leadership. Participation is welcome, supervision is not. Cooperation is welcome, racial certification is not. In the spirit of the African Legislature's thought book, I put it this way: freedom remains unfinished when African occupies the office but still waits for the former master to confirm that he is fit to sit behind the desk. That is the deeper struggle. For generations, Africa was forced to explain herself through European categories. Our systems of governance were called primitive until Europeans translated them. Our philosophy was dismissed as superstitions until universities repackaged it. Our knowledge of land, justice, community was ignored until the same ideas returned to wearing academic gowns. Yet Africa governs civilizations. You are talking about the Nile civilization, the Horn of Africa, the Red Sea civilization, the Southern African stone building civilization that includes the Mapungube, Great Zimbabwe, Kam, etc. Kingdoms, the Zulu kingdom, the Swazi, the Sotho, etc. Federations, clans, and communities long before colonial administrators arrived carrying maps of the land they did not own. We had indigenous laws, we had diplomacy, we had trade, we had agriculture, we had systems of accountability and social order. Colonialism did not discover African intelligence. It interrupted African confidence. Apartheid did not prove African incompetence. It manufactured African exclusion. It denied us land, capital, ownership, and education. This is just a warning to the government of provincial unity. Continue being in bed with colonialists, you'll see what will happen. People will reject you. Then it pointed to poverty it had created and called that poverty evidence of our inability. That was the trick. Create the wound, then accuse the wounded of weakness. We are not weak as black skin. Therefore, when a senior political leader introduces pale complexion into a discussion about competence, we do not hear an innocent joke. We hear the echo of old doctrine which claim that order is white and failure is black. Honorable Rogers, through you, Chair, the African was apparently competent enough to build the mines, railways, farms, cities of this country, but suddenly became incompetent when demanding ownership and control. We were competent enough to produce wealth, but not to own it. Competent enough to follow instructions, but not to issue them. Competent enough to pay taxes, but apparently not competent enough to manage treasury. That contradiction has expired. The people of this province did not appoint the Democratic Alliance as a racial quality control department of this province. The DA must stop behaving like a permanent headmaster of African intelligence. It must stop entering every political discussion carrying a red pen, waiting to grade whether we are doing good or bad. We do not require the pale approval to confirm that we can think. We think we are black, but we can think. Mr. Honorable Rogers. But let me be equally firm with our own side. This is not an argument that every black leader is competent. That would be lazy, dishonest, and dangerous. African leadership must study. It must understand budgets. It must reject corruption. It must build institutions that works. It must account to the people. A leader does not lead in silos. Therefore, an African leader who steals from the people, ignores the people, or governs carelessly cannot hide behind blackness. We cannot oppose white supremacy and then protect black mediocrity. As I learned, Honorable Chair, the DA must answer one simple question. Does it believe that competence has color? If the answer is no, Honorable Rogers must withdraw the racial implication of his remarks and apologize. I thank you.